Hey, what is up guys? Marsleaf here, back to do once more another epic game. And this one here is intense. The one word I would use to describe this game, intense. So let's get straight into it, shall we? It's going to be Master Kane versus Traveler 59 on Tournament Dust Bowl. This has the warm lighting on it. Much prefer this version to the one that shipped in Kane's Draft. Well, actually the Tournament Dust Bowl 2v2 version has this specific lighting. But yeah, opening up here with a couple Awakened squads. These do not take any Tiberium exposure anymore, guys. So you can put them in Tiberium fields and you will not have to fear about them dying. Not sure why in this game they decided that they should take tip exposure, but we deemed in the community that they don't need it. Now, as of right now, I don't know my opponent's faction. I don't know if he's Traveler 59. As far as I'm aware, he could be any faction. Though I think we agreed at the start to tell each other our factions. So it's possible that I did know, actually, guys. I just wasn't paying attention. It was most likely the case. These Awakened, though, have awesome range, and they're going to be able to dispatch buzzers pretty readily. Now, Awakened are known to be the worst of the early game scouts against buzzers, because while they have a lot of health, that health isn't much good against buzzers, because buzzers have a lot of sniper damage and they pretty much kill any sort of infantry instantly. They are a melee unit after all. But yeah, this is a strategy that has some thought put into it, because I've built these two Awakened squads and I've got the Reckoner. Why have I got two Awakened squads and a Reckoner? Well, my idea was my opponent builds this Gunwalker, the Reckoner arrives in his base, and then I put the Awakened into the Reckoner. And if it is not responded to this Reckoner, I can put even the third Awakened into the Reckoner and increase the DPS further. So I have a full Reckoner with all the infantry slots garrisoned. But the motive of this is to slow down my opponent with the Tiberium troopers. And also I can further that slowdown effect by occasionally evacing my Awakened, and yeah, it will just disrupt him a lot. I didn't upgrade my power plant, guys, because it's imperative to focus on your eco rather than power plants. I built a refinery once I finished the Reckoner, and he's got 4 and 2. And if you look at my economy, I've also just completed my 5th harvester. So he's somewhat overspent on this, but he had to deal with this Reckoner in some way. Otherwise, it will deal significant damage to him. So the Gunwalker was produced. He's got a photon cannon, which he had to build because, again, this Reckoner, if it continues to slow down his harvesters from harvesting, it's going to be worse and worse for him. Now, this is a Tiberium Trooper Rush, something that you guys may have not seen before, but I think this particular strategy has potential against Skrins. Especially if that third Awakened squad, which was full, arrives and garrisons that third slot. Gunwalker does fall there, and the range of these Tiberium troopers is awesome. I'm going to evac that just before it gets died, or just before it gets killed. Tip Trooper will run towards this garrisonable structure, but what Phoenix will do is he'll just fuse a buzzer to his Shard Walker or Gunwalker and just clear that out, as he will do soon. I'm going to go for a crane after my third refinery. I believe it is a very potent thing to do, because you can build a war factory and a refinery simultaneously, and then you can move your MCV to your third field and build a tier 3 while that is happening. So it just gives you more options. You're never going to float resources, and it's not a good thing to be floating money at this stage of the game. So I'm going to make use of this double build queue as best as I can. I'm going to build another power plant just before I head out with this MCV to my third field. Now, knowing that I've got that crane, I'm going to pack my MCV up and head straight to my third field. This operations center is going to permit me to upgrade some of these power plants, and the Nod power plants generate a lot more power than the GDI ones with the upgrade. And I opted for a secondary MCV here because dual dropping obelisks is an effective strategy. You can deal with tripods nicely, and as Matt Kane, it synergizes really well with many units such as the Enlightened squad. You can defend those Enlightened with SAM turrets or even Shredder turrets. You can even drop the Voice of Kane for them, double the rate of fire almost. So there are many reasons to build 2 MCVs as Matt Kane. Another thing I like about cranes is you can build the disruption towers from them. So you don't have to occupy your regular build queue to build those cheap disruption towers. As Matt Kane, they only cost $500. I did not know my opponent's faction, by the way, going into this. I may have read he was Traveler, but he surprised me there with Disintegrators. If I had known that my opponent was Trav, I would have gone for strictly Raider Buggies at this point. And then these Dissents wouldn't have done nearly as much, but the Dozer Blades do offer you with immunity to crushing. Despite that though, the majority of my tank force will be cleaned up, and now I'm going to get harassed here by some Seekers. This particle beam upgrade needs to finish, and it needs to finish soon because there's literally no answer to these units. Phoenix getting some sick damage on my eco, but due to that crane, look how ahead I am. I've got a fully established expansion here. I've got, well, I had 4 and 2. These Seekers will finally get cleaned up, and the damage could have been worse. I only lost a singular harvester, and I cleaned up the majority of his force. Now he did delay my eco, but that wasn't too bad for me, and I'm a bit fearful that he could have a Prodigy at this point. That's why I'm going to build a Nair Tower, because what players like to do is just go straight to your base with a Prodigy and take your MCV over. It's a common thing to do, and you see it a lot from Traveler. Matt Kane though don't suffer nearly as much from that because they've got very powerful Shredder turrets, and they've got the Venoms with charged particle beams. Plus, you can stealth your base with disruption towers. Another benefit of playing Matt Kane is the accessible EMP. I sold a Shredder turret there and skilled a tripod, synergized that with the stealth tanks and obelisk. Raider Buggy in my base, I should really clean that up because he's just getting free scouting intel as a result. He's camping my field, but so am I. I've got these Shredder turrets. There will soon be an obelisk there. So he's camping my field, I'm camping his. And knowing he's got those forces right there, I'm going to move my MCV forward and try and dispatch them with an obelisk. But I deemed it more important to put some economic damage on him. Those photon cannons with the shard launchers though, incredibly powerful. Dispatching one of my stealth tanks immediately. The veterancy on that one stealth tank, keeping it alive. Redeemer does pop out. I'm going to get this cybernetic legs upgrade because I want to be building Enlightened to EMP the Eradicator hexapod. And since these Seekers don't resist much gun damage, Venoms can dispose of them quickly. The trade is pretty mutual, however, but given time, Venoms can deal with Seekers very effectively. And he's gifted me a husk, so I can put down another Hand of Nod near that husk and recapture it right away. It would be handy having a tripod to defend my expansion. He's not going to waste any support powers on cleaning up that husk, which I actually wouldn't have minded too much if he had done that, because then it would mean he could Buzzer Swarm my Enlightened. This tripod though phase, very very annoying, but again he's not going to have a phase to save his Eradicator if it comes under serious damage. I used the Rage Gen, and with all those photon cannons firing at it, it's taking considerable damage. Harvesters will crush that husk unfortunately, but this Redeemer will escape, in part thanks to the dual engineer inside of the Redeemer, which gives it quite a nice repair rate. In R20 I doubled the repair rate of the Eradicator hexapod assimilator, So you guys can experiment with that if you so desire. You still won't see it though, because it's not a garrison that you need to use often, because you've got corruptors which heal the hexapod fast anyways. You'd rather increase the DPS potential of the eradicator. But those photon cannons, man, look at those photon cannons. Rear armor as well, that Redeemer has to get out of there. It is taking huge damage. Now this is a pretty dire situation for me, because he's got now devastated warships. He's also got 2 of them out here. I've got no disruption towers either. I'm pretty naked here. There's no base defenses either, so I can't defend myself against this hexapod, but I can use the Redeemer's rage generator and prevent it from being teleported. So now all those photon cannons are going to get some damage, not on my Redeemer, but instead on the hexapod. And just like that, the hexapod falls. Those 4 photon cannons unfortunately stabbing him in the back there, taking out that eradicator hexapod. I'm going to save my epic unit, and I thought now would be a good time to use the Tiber and Vein detonation. Get some damage on those forces. His photon cannons would also take considerable damage, but not enough to destroy them. The stealth tank goes down. That was a very expensive trade. I can use the cloaking field to destroy those cultists, because you can kill infantry with it. But imagine if I can kill them with the Catalyst Missile, get the Corruptor as well. It just sweetens the deal. Catalyst Missile can target so many units and structures. Well, it can target only 2 specific structures, the Tiberium chemical plant and of course the refinery. Sometimes you can get both in a knob mirror, and it is crazy. Another Eradicator hexapod out for Phoenix. I'm just going to recycle my rage generator here. I'm going to start playing down these shredder turrets too, just so I have some defense against the Prodigy, because what he's going to most likely do is teleport his Prodigy into my Redeemer and subsequently teleport a tripod to EMP my Redeemer with that Prodigy. So I'm going to anticipate that play and put a couple of these shredder turrets down so I can snipe the Prodigy before it gets the chance to do that. Not only that, but I got a couple of Venoms flying overhead as well. I'm going to start planting more of these disruption towers down. $500 again for Mad to Kane. So this makes this specific style shine for Mad to Kane, because they don't have to pay nearly as much for those towers. The base defenses are very helpful, and plus you can get EMP. Phoenix forced to phase a couple Seekers to stealth, to just reveal my base, because my base is totally stealthed. He doesn't know what I have. What Phoenix should do here is build a couple planetary assault carriers. Packs have the same stealth detection radius as the Seeker, but of course they are way more durable than a Seeker is. So having 1 or 2 of those would be great. Activating the Ion Storm can also buff the Devastators. Devastators with Ion Storms are incredibly lethal against Mad Kane base pushes. But I anticipated he would do that, so that's why I'm building these Venoms and Beam Cannons. What could that mean, guys? Well, it only means one thing, and that is Beam Venom. And now I'm going to start targeting these Devastators with my Venoms. 2 of those Devastators get taken out right away. A couple of my Beam Cannons get area mind controlled. But that Prodigy dies quickly to grenade damage, which is what Beam Cannons inflict. Tripod moving in. I almost got my Beam Cannons crushed there. Hexapod though is going to take some damage. It is getting healed up there by some Corruptors. But there's no Devastators anymore, so now these Enlightened can move in and try and deal some damage. That Buzzer Hive is quite an issue for me. I should place down more Shredder turrets. Then the Buzzer Hive buzzers will be effectively negated. They'll be killed right out of the hives. Those Prodigies come out really quickly. I'm going to be forced to sack a couple Venoms to kill that. I think that was a pretty good trade though, losing 3 Venoms for a Prodigy. I'm happy with that, especially if I can kill this Hexapod. But little did I know he had a power plant. He's going to actually block it. This Hexapod is going to survive this ordeal, and my Redeemer is again getting low on health. I was forced to use my EMP on that tripod because it was approaching my Redeemer. But I still have not lost my focus on killing this hexapod. I'm going to target it down with this obelisk. Beam cannons, putting as much DPS on it as possible, and there it goes. And my Redeemer will live to see another day. I've got it on hold fire stance, by the way. And the reason for that is I wanted to recloak quickly when it is under the influence of the disruption tower. What I do need to build here is another disruption tower, so I can stealth the front portion of my base. Those Devastators are coming out once again. I could get the quad turret upgrade, which will add a 4th turret to these SAMs, which is what I'm going to do now. I'm going to purchase that upgrade. It's only $1,000, takes 30 seconds. At this stage of the game, it would be a huge help. But keeping those beam cannons alive was pivotal. Some Venoms for countering the upcoming next wave of units will be great too. I see he's got those Devastators. I'm just going to stall the advance of his units by placing these turrets down. Try and destroy this drone platform, but Phoenix has such good micro. He pulled his Prodigy around the drone ship just so my beam cannons briefly try and target the Prodigy. It just buys him time. And now he's going to lift his drone platform up, teleport it near to the warp chasm, and he saves it. Hexapod comes out, so he bought himself some time there. That was some really sick play from Phoenix. Got to give him that. If there were one thing to criticize Phoenix on this game, it would be the lack of planetary assault carriers, which I feel is pivotal in this matchup. A lot of people think packs, oh, they're terrible. They're not terrible, guys. They are situational, and this is the perfect game for a planetary assault carrier to shine in. But these beam cannons doing major work, and that is despite the DPS nerf that they received in R20. They deal a little bit less damage now. Was reduced from 150 to 125. This Redeemer doesn't have much base killing power, but with that triple tri-point laser, it's going to be still powerful given time. Me using the Rage Gen here will prevent his tripod from receiving the order to EMP. He could have locked that Redeemer down and killed it there, so that was clutch from me. That Prodigy survives as well. So, you know, you've got to be really on point. Even after winning engagement after engagement, it's not enough as Kane or any faction. You've got to be continuously on the lookout for those Prodigies. He's building another one from that portal. Hexapod will make its way around that warp sphere, and again, this Hexapod has the ability to generate funds, so if I lose a lot of forces, he's going to rebuild his army, and I'm going to not have the income that he's getting. This Hexapod has that ability to generate funds. Once more, the Beam Venom gets used on the Devastator, and Phoenix is oblivious to the fact that that is a stealth Venom. It is receiving stealth from the Disruption Tower. That's why the Plasma Missile Battery isn't opening fire on it. Refinery goes down, maybe a little bit unnecessary, but I wanted to kill those Corruptors. Rage gets fired off once more. Devastator just gets completely wrecked. And now it's just a handful of Seekers and a Hexapod. I can lock down this Hex. Phoenix uses the phase field. Prodigy moves forward, but my beams had already re-stealthed. He can't see this Redeemer. I've got 2 Obelisks of Light queued just for this very moment. I kept them just in case I were to be in this position. But it's one last hurrah from Phoenix. I've now got the quad turret, so those cultists and the Prodigy will get sniped almost immediately. With just the Hexapod to kill, with no phase field nor Prodigy, there is no way for it to escape. So this is likely going to fall, and Phoenix in this game will be falling. So that base push lasted like 10 minutes or even longer. Nevertheless though, Kane does prevail, and Phoenix will be losing that game. I thought that was a pretty awesome game though on Tournament Decision Dust Bowl, and it highlights a lot of strategy with Kane, and it shows as well as Scrin that you need packs. People just think packs are useless and they should never be built in any situation. That's incorrect. In that situation there, packs and Devastators were the answer. But of course against GI factions and Skrin, they're not as helpful. But against Nod, there's a reason the pack has the stealth detection. It's because they are for that base cracking. They're really the siege unit you need against Nod and Mark Kane. So that is it, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed that game as much as I enjoyed playing it, then don't forget to hit the like button. I'd really appreciate that. And subscribe to my YouTube channel as well to stay notified for when I'm going to be posting more content like this. So yeah, guys, this is going to be Master Leaf. Peace out.